teachers and parents that brought you here tonight. Have a good evening.
That was absolutely fantastic. Mr. Baldinari, where did you go? Watch out high school for these guys to get there. Outstanding. Thank you. We also have two special students from Ligonier Middle School here this evening. Mr. Steimer.
Don't be surprised. Barnes & Noble had an essay contest where students could write an essay to honor a favorite teacher. And we had the first and the third place winners, and they're here tonight to read their essays. First, we'll have Anna.
I stood at the competition table, mind racing. I was starting to panic when I looked into the crowd. Mrs. A stood in the stands. She gave me an encouraging smile, and suddenly I felt a little better. That's just what Mrs. A does. She taught me to love robots and work as a team, but most importantly, she taught me to be proud of myself. Mrs. A really influenced me not only in school, but as a person, and for that, I thank her. First of all, Mrs. A taught me everything I know about robots. She is the proud founder of the robotics club at our school. Before I met her, I didn't even know what programming was. Now, with her encouragement, I am considering a career in robotic engineering. Mrs. A taught me so well that I even helped another teacher with his robot. Sometimes I helped with programming or controlling the arms. Usually he was just plugging in the wrong cord, though. Last year for Christmas, Mrs. A gave our whole team matching robot necklaces. They're bright white with sparkly eyes and dangling legs. I look at my necklace every day, and it reminds me of the most inspiring thing Mrs. A ever said to me. I am excited about your life. Those words keep me going each and every day. Secondly, Mrs. A taught me how to work as a team. In our robotics group, we had 8th graders and 7th graders. As you can imagine, we didn't always get along. There were minor quarrels about every little thing. Finally, Mrs. A had enough. She made us work together and exchange ideas, and what do you know, those 7th graders were pretty smart. We started to respect each other, and our team grew stronger for it. Mrs. A taught me to see past old grudges and look on to new friendships. Finally, Mrs. A taught me to believe in myself. About a week before our robotics team, she convinced me to start a whole new program. I was hesitant at first, but she believed in me, and because of that, I knew I could do it. I worked like crazy that whole week, staying late after school just to get it done. But when competition rolled around, it all paid off. Watching my little Lego robot complete each task with ease was one of the most fulfilling moments of my life. Even though our team didn't win that day, Mrs. A assured us that we didn't really lose. Now I keep that lesson with me in my heart. All in all, Mrs. A is an amazing teacher. She has a great positive influence on everyone she meets. She showed me the joy of working with robots, plus she taught me the importance of teamwork and self-confidence. Overall, Mrs. A is an amazing person who has inspired me to be the best that I can be.
Next, we have Amanda.
March 15th, 2011. Dear Miss Brand, I remember it wasn't until last year, but I remember you were only trying to help me, but for some reason I had it in my head that you were out to get me. I now realize that you were only doing what would best benefit me, and I would like to thank you for that. You have taught me just to be myself and only myself. You showed me how smart I can be, and you also showed me some really healthy coping skills. First, you taught me how to be myself. Last year, after I was held back, I had myself convinced that no one was going to like me because I was a failure. So I acted out, talked back to teachers, and picked on innocent kids. You were the one that sat me down and told me that I was being immature, and that people would like me for me if I only showed them the real me. The next day, I came to school thinking maybe you were right, and you were. But I never wanted to tell you. I thought it would have made me look like a fool. However, now I realize I don't care. You have showed me many things, but the second thing that really stuck is how smart I truly can be. I didn't use this until this year when we transferred over to Ligonier Valley. Last year, as you may remember, my grades weren't awful, but they weren't anything compared to my grades this year. I'm not making honor roll, but I am a B or C student, depending on the class, the occasional C-. Still, the fact of the matter is, I am trying. I used to slap stuff down and now everything matters. You showed me that with this, I could get a good job or do anything later on in life. The best feeling from this right now is that my parents are proud of me. I love that feeling. Last but not least, you taught me some really good, healthy coping and problem-solving skills. I wasn't always the best person when it came to handling stress or a big problem, but you showed me some really good, healthy ways I could release stress and calm myself. For example, you were always the one who told me I was a good writer, then turned around and told me that I could use writing as a way to release my stress. Now I use walking and singing as my coping skills. Depending on the situation, I decide which skill to use. All in all, you were the biggest impact, my personal favorite, and the best teacher I have come across. I still have more years of school to go, but I doubt that any of them can measure up how much you've helped me, not only academically, but emotionally too. Thank you so much, Amanda Reese.
I'd also like to recognize Mrs. Ranieri and Mr. McNichol, the writing teachers at Ligonier Middle School, 8th grade.
Girls, I think that you wrote about two very special teachers, but I think they have two very special students. Those were wonderful essays that you did. Thank you.